Yo, what's up guys, it's Vortex Mal here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a clean banner for your team just like this one. So the first thing you want to do is just create a new document and just set your width to 2560 by 1440 and then just click create. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just get a template so that I know that everything's in the right place. So I'm just going to put that in. I think I found this one just off Google, so you can probably just search up on Google to find one too. And then what I'm going to do is just drag from these numbers up here down to like this kind of bar here and just line them up. And then I'm going to do it for here too, just so that I know everything's in the right place. Doesn't have to be completely perfect, but I just kind of want to get a general idea of where stuff is. I'm also going to put one just in the middle of that and one in the middle of that. Okay, so now I've got these kind of lines just to guide me on where I should put the stuff. Then what I'm going to do is just go and find like a Fortnite screenshot of just one of the places in the game. You could probably use one from literally any game, but I'm just going to use one of Fortnite real quick. So now I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. It doesn't really matter if it's not the highest resolution because you're going to be blurring it anyway. I've just got this random one of Misty Meadows that I took a while ago, and then what I'm going to do is just go to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur, and I'm probably just going to put the value to like 5ish. You can just change it and make it a bit blurrier later on if you want. And then I'm also going to click Control and then U on my keyboard and just change the saturation down to 0 and click OK. So now we've got this. What you want to do after that is just either find the PNG for your team's logo and just put it in the middle of here, or for me I just have a font called Zillup Monogrammer that I use for the Vortex logo. So there we go, I've just got the V here and I'm going to make it a bit bigger by just going over to the font size and just dragging that up, and I'm just going to kind of line it up with these lines here. You can use the arrow keys if you want to be much more precise. So if I just click off that and then click back on it and use the arrow keys, it should move about. So that's pretty much perfectly in the center. And then what I'm going to do is just change the color of that to white, because in my opinion that just looks the cleanest. You can use any color you want really, but I've used the white one for the Vortex logo in the past. And then what you want to do is just click on this tool up here and just kind of create a line going through your picture. So I'm just going to create that line here, and then I'm going to just go around the complete edge of everything else, so it just selects this whole half. You can do it just as a straight line or at any angle you want. I'm just going to do it like this for this tutorial. Then what you want to do is go to select and then modify and then feather this by about 50 pixels. Once I've done that, I'm going to just change this color to whatever color I want, and then just create a new layer by clicking this button here. Then I'm going to go to the paint fill tool and just click here. So now I've got this like big red kind of block, and it's faded in to over here where there's no color at all. I'm just going to click this and double click to get rid of the kind of mask thing. And then what I'm going to do is just change this blending mode down to soft light here. Now you can already see it gives it some color and just looks really clean. You can mess about with the opacity here. So if you want just a very kind of light tint, you can have it as that. If you want it a bit less subtle, you can just have it at 100% opacity. I think about 60% looks good for me. And then what you can do is just create another layer if you really want to, and you can just make it kind of darker on the other side. So I'm just going to kind of do the same thing again, but just go to the other side, and then I'm going to feather it by clicking select, modify, feather. 50 pixels is good, because that's what I did for the other one. And I'm just going to select black and fit it here. Then if I set this to soft light and kind of make it 60% too, or around that too, that already looks quite clean. Now what I'm going to do, just so this kind of white logo stands out a bit, is I'm just going to right click on it, then click duplicate layer, click OK. And then what you want to do is just use the arrow keys to kind of move it a bit. So I'm just going to move it kind of down a bit more. I'm also going to just change the color of this slightly by clicking on the text tool, highlighting it, and then I'm just going to make it a slightly darker white. This kind of looks 3D already. And then what I'm going to do is just use this lasso tool, and I'm just going to create a new layer here. And then if I zoom into it a little bit more just so I can see it well, I'm just going to click from here to here and kind of join this up and just make it so that it looks like it's actually 3D. And I'm going to fill it just using this paintbrush tool with the exact same color that I used for this kind of bottom part of the text. And I'm also going to just do that here and pretty much just fill in like every gap that there is just to make it look more 3D. Okay, so once you've done that, you've kind of got a 3D looking shape here, and then you can add a drop shadow by double clicking on it, and this brings up layer style. You can just tick drop shadow and then just increase it and see how it looks. So I think that looks pretty good. It kind of makes it look a bit more 3D again and just helps it stand out a bit more. Then once you've done the V in the middle, you can add some like particles and textures. So I've downloaded some packs by other people, but I'm sure you can just search up on like Google like paper texture and things like particles too. So you see here I've got some particles, and then I'm just going to put them on the blending mode screen. And you can see there's just some kind of particles over it, which makes it look a bit more interesting. And I'm also going to get some kind of paper textures, which I'm going to put over it as well. I've just got a piece of paper just on my screen, which I'm then going to set to the blending mode soft light. And I'm just going to turn down the opacity a bit so you can't see it very clearly. And it's kind of just added a bit of texture to this, which makes it look a lot more interesting. You can definitely put things such as the team's social media accounts on here, or you could like have your sponsors on here, but for me I'm just going to leave it how it is. And so I hope you learned something from this, and have a good day.